Hello guys, I'm Cesar Santos. I decided to take a break from painting. As you can see, I've been producing a lot during these days because I have shows coming up, and I wanted to take a break and change the routine and having and start a conversation with you, perhaps, since I get so many requests about techniques and about artistic subjects. So let's see if I get some questions over here and talk about some stuff that you would like to know. One of the things I wanted to mention is that next week, this painting, Salvatore Artistis, it's going to be showing at the Palm Beach Art Fair with Gallery Cadoro, and but I won't be able to be there myself. I will be in LA showing at the LA Art Show with Maxwell Alexander Gallery, so I'll be physically there meeting some friends from LA. Anyways, one of the questions that I got the other day that I wanted to answer is because I keep getting that question is about paper. What paper do I use for charcoal? And I feel bad answering that because most of the time I don't know what paper I'm even buying. What I do, and I'll show you this technique so you can actually do it on your own, is that you get a charcoal and take it with you to the store and grab a piece of charcoal paper and draw in a corner. I mean, try to not do this too much because you're gonna mess up all the papers. But if you go there and draw in a corner, you will see how dark you can get with that charcoal. Because one of the qualities in a paper that you want to have is that you can go dark on that paper, and also to take it away. Some papers have a limit, and as soon as you start adding charcoal, it stops receiving it, so it's gonna be gray. It's not gonna be as dark as the charcoal. Hi guys, let me see if I can. Also, this is my first time doing this live, so I have. Let's see what this is. Okay, so Christopher is asking if I paint like this on stretch. Yes. Well, I always paint like this most of the time because it gives me flexibility to move around in my studio. And I don't want to have a stretch taking space, you know. So basically, I measure the size, I paint on it, I'm more free about it. And I have a carpet here. That's just a carpet that I put on my wall to have a nice bouncy area in the back. And as soon as I finish my painting, I can ship it to my galleries, roll it, take it to a frame, to a framer, whatever. So it's more convenient for me. I got used to that, and that's how I do it. Let me see. ¿Qué haces para montarlo? Para montar que el canvas. Yeah, this Da Vinci is funny because someone's asking, is that my master's study? Well, my system is syncretism because that's what I'm reporting on. I'm reporting on what's going on in the art world today. So many genres going on at the same time, so much information about the history of art. And I found myself in the middle of this world of knowing the classical world and falling in love with technique and tradition, and at the same time being through contemporary training. So what I do is I get those two worlds, I'm putting together, I'm kind of reporting on what's happening with these contradicting energies or artistic tendencies and putting them together. And at the same time, I get to practice other artists' technique, and I get to do some copies while I'm also creating and having fun with my art. That's always important. And I'm sorry if I'm not answering questions in order. I have to probably get my wife here. She knows more than me about this. Let's see here. One is Spanish. Diego, ¿qué dice? Oh, Diego is asking me cuándo voy a visitar Latinoamérica para dar algún taller. And I've visited Latin America before. I went to Costa Rica, I had a show there. But normally, I wish I had more time. Quisiera tener más tiempo para poder hacer muchas cosas, pero no tengo tiempo. Estoy pintando y dedicando tiempo a mi carrera, que como ustedes saben, ya es bastante difícil poder tener una carrera exitosa como pintor. Así que no puedo partirme en pedazos y poder estar por toda Latinoamérica. Anyway, sorry guys, I'm jumping maybe between Spanish and English. I hardly talk to my Spanish um, fans and friends. So, and the reason is, I want to explain something quickly. That the reason that I put my content in English is because I learned what I know about art in English. I grew up in Cuba. I know Spanish, of course. I came when I was 12 years old. So my level of expression maybe goes to that age, to 12 years old. So I don't want to be talking about art, saying it in terms that I probably don't dominate as much as I do in English, because that's how I learned it. So that's the main reason. And I don't have time to do both and all these translations. I speak some Italian too. I was lucky to be in Italy, and I'm married to an Italian woman. So, but I cannot do my videos in Italian either. So that's why I'm here in Miami, Florida, and that's why I decided to do my content in English. But of course, I'm happy to answer and stuff in Spanish. Okay, I got a question here. Let me see this one. What is the evolution of art since globalization? Is there a big current art into well, now today it's more you're on your own pretty much. That's why I think I have the only ism of our time, syncretism. All the isms are done, everybody's doing pretty much whatever they like. There is with the interaction around the world now, since the world is flat, everybody's communicating at the same level. I think that has influenced our art, and that's part of what I do with my art. I kind of want to talk about that with my system of syncretism. I want to mention that that's the state of the world today, that everybody is very individual in terms of expressing themselves more freely in terms of instead of falling into a general genre that you need to fit in, because that's the fashion. So now it's pretty much an individualistic type of approach, where you have a vision, you are free to express it in whatever manner you want. And I think that's a beautiful thing that we have today that we didn't have before. We have so much knowledge and access to information, and we can express and learn whatever style of art that we want. Let's see here. Hello. What do I think about blending or non-blending? But I'm gonna answer the first question first. Well, to copy, when you're selecting a painter or something to copy, to learn, copy whoever touches you, whatever you find that it will be important for you to learn in order for you to express yourself better. I mean, I can tell you from my part, I started copying the Bark books because I was in school learning it, and I got into that, and then I started copying Bouguereau, because Bouguereau for me was more of a magician. I couldn't tell how a human was able to capture and do these idealized forms, but at the same time very naturalistic, to the point of believing that being that he represented was actually looked real. But of course, the features are altered, everything was idealized. So I follow that because I think it was more of a magic than anything else, and I find that as the highest level of artistic expression in terms of managing the tools to capture that world. And that's why I copy it. But maybe you have a different temperament. Maybe you are more of an aggressive type and want to express something deeper. Maybe you can copy other artists. I don't know. Jericho, for instance, has more of this raw application, kind of twisted vision, and that would be appropriate for your technique maybe. So it's up to you. I think as long as you admire something, you can copy it, because that means that something was there that captured your attention, and you should follow that opportunity. And also you asked me, what do I think about blending versus non-blending? Well, sometimes you gotta blend and sometimes you gotta not blend. I believe that you should know how to do both so you have a bigger toolbox in when it comes to expression. For instance, here in this painting, I'm doing the background, playing around with the idea of the cooning. So I want it to be more bold and rough. And if I wanted to do an area with more smoky illusion, then that's the time to do some blending. But remember that blending or non-blending goes like this. So you have a space and you have to make divisions, like steps to get from light to dark or from blue to another color, right? So the blending is the steps, how small do they get, right? Don't think of putting two things and just going like that and blending it, because that's gonna not work. That's what most people do, I think, and that's why they say, how do you blend? And how? So think of blending as steps. Either you do like Sargent does, which if you step back, some areas look more transitional, more blended, if you see, but if you get close, then you see that the steps are clearly stated and more separated. And when maybe you get close to a bouguereau, you see that the blending, the steps are so minute that you cannot even see the difference. So they go step by step, but at the same time developing the form. So that's why that's what I think about blending and so on. I'm so sorry that I'm skipping some of these questions because I'm, of course, cannot do all of them. I'm just randomly touching them. Carlos, what are my thoughts on contemporary artists like Stefan Bauman or Jordan Sokol? Oh, actually, I met both of them once, I think. Um, I think they both are from the Florence Academy School. And what do I think of that? I mean, I try not to think of artists in particular. If they bring out a painting that is calling my attention, of course, I admire it. And Jordan is making amazing work. I mean, his portraits are super. I mean, they're beautiful. They have this mixture of blending, like I was saying before, with the broken brushstrokes, and I really, really like that. That's a mystery also for me because I don't practice that much that style of the Sargent Velasquez type of look. So I think those artists are offering to our time something that was lost, and they're perfecting it in a way that we can really appreciate it and give it its own value rather than saying, oh, it looks like some other artists. Now what I would like to see more is how that transition, and of course that's going to happen with time. I'm sure they are figuring this out as they go, but first comes technique, and that's what they're mastering first. And I'm sure I will be able to live to be able to witness these artists that are offering amazing technique and at the same time then developing a voice that is their own. And yeah, I cannot wait to see that more than a voice with a brush that already tells the difference between artists. I would like to see more of a push, but that comes naturally. It's better not to push it too much, otherwise then you become a little, false. But yeah, let me see what else here. I that's funny. I get tired of being dismissed and ignored by middle class gallery owners. They hate traditional genius. That's funny. I don't think. Remember that a gallery owner is in business because he must he might like art and he is trying to be the middleman. He might have some connections, some contacts with the clients, and he knows he has a feeling for what he likes, and he wants to be the guy in the middle of the artist that has no contact, no access to those clients, and they want to put them there. So if you find yourself ignored or rejected by a gallerist, that's the best thing that can happen to you, because you don't want to be working with someone that doesn't know how to take your art to the next level. You want to make sure that you do stuff that you are connected with and that you present it to many people. That's why I believe in social media, because social media will get you. Social media is no more than people, right? Facebook is not Facebook. Facebook is just people. Instagram is people, and if you have your art out there, you'll have more opportunities to meet someone who sees it and knows where to put it and who to show it to. And as an artist, you cannot be frustrated by people who ignore you, because that means that they don't understand it, they don't care, and they don't have to. That's the freedom that they have too. So I believe, as an artist, don't worry about the people that ignore you. I would have liked to see a comment saying, "What do I do with the dealers that love my work? How do I talk to them? How do I keep that company? And how do I stay in touch with them for a fruitful relationship?" Right? Don't worry about the people that ignore you, for sure. Um, Let me see some comments up here, because I've been. Have you worked with chroma atelier acrylic? I don't work with acrylics. I stopped working with acrylics since I graduated from, well, I didn't graduate from New World School of the Arts. I left on my fourth year, but my whole time there, we were painting with acrylics, because they said the room was not prepared to paint with oils. I don't know. I mean, you can paint with oil pretty much anywhere, yeah, as long as you have things that are not too strong for the people around you. But yeah, I stopped working with acrylics in 2004. Hey, Cesar, you made Sábado Monday. Yes, I did make it. Um, Let me see if I can just quickly move this, just to show you a different aspect of that. But yeah, anyways, oh, sorry about that. I'm bleached out. Hi, saludos. How long did it take me to grow this beard? Oh man. Well, I had the beard before it was a fashion. Now all the, all the hipsters are wearing it too again. But I used to have it in, before I was boxing, and in 2008 I had to shave it completely to be able to fight and box. They didn't let me compete with this beard, because if they cut me, they wouldn't be able to fix it properly quickly enough. So after 2008, I left it. Sometimes I trim it, but I don't care. I try to be as lazy as possible here. You see, I cut my hair so I don't have to worry about combing it. I live this so I don't have to worry about shaving it. So this is the most lazy hairstyle in the world. Let me go up. I don't even know if you guys see the comments. I'm just doing this for the first time. I'm so lost. I'm Cuban, so my technology level is very low. um, Okay, hi Cesar. Hola Cesar. I want to know. Okay, can you learn bark by yourself? Okay, with the bark thing, is in my experience, I did not learn it by myself. Okay, I got to school, to the Angel Academy in Florence, and I sat down and they went over what the whole requirement to do the copy of Charles Bark. So I don't know if you can do it on your own, because I had so much feedback from my teachers, and the point and what I believe got me better technically was that push. When I thought it was good and when I thought I was finished, my teacher would say, fix this, adjust that. That line is too high up there, and I got frustrated because I couldn't see it at first, but then I just did it automatically, and the more I try and the more they push me, the more I saw. So I think it's important for you that when you're copying or doing exercises like that, do you have someone behind you correcting and pushing you further that you can by yourself? Because remember, we all are trying to get to be better at whatever we are doing, right? So if we are painting and we are at a certain level and we want to get beyond that, probably we need help from the outside. We need to stay open and aware for hints on where to improve and move forward. And if you're by yourself, you're most likely gonna fall into the rhythm of your own capacity. And I think that's important to keep it in mind so that you uh, know how to take advantage of people around you. Even I mean, even anyone can give you advice on a bard. Actually, if you copy a bard and you take it to the best possible level, take it to a friend, take it to your mom or something, and show it and say, "Mom, try to tell me everything that is not the same from my drawing or that you think is different." So they will point out some stuff and you go and fix it. The goal of a bard drawing is to be exact as the original, so that when you see both, you wouldn't be able to tell which one is the original and which one is yours. And that's a suggestion I have. What is the biggest mistake I see among beginners? Well, um, I see many mistakes, but I think in general, I think beginners. Um, okay. So what is a beginner? Okay. So first, what are we talking about? Because a beginner can be anything, right? The point is that when you find yourself starting, if you're actually beginning something, starting, you have to give yourself time. The worst part about a beginner is that they're not accepting that they're beginners. Sometimes I get paintings and say, "Can you critique me? This is my third painting." I'm like, I cannot do that. That's your, once you have 300, maybe ask me or more, because as a beginner in anything, you just have to go with the flow and learn and try to take as much as possible. So I think that's the biggest mistake is to not give yourself time or ignore aspects. Thinking, I mean, remember, we have everything. We have access to everything nowadays, except that deep feeling of owning, of understanding something deeply. And I think that's the lack of a beginner. So don't get frustrated um, if you find yourself feeling like you're a beginner. Just like that's the beauty of being a beginner, that you have everything ahead of you to learn from. Uh, oh shit! This fell. I'm banging on the screen of the iPad here. Uh, oh, I don't have a time lapse of this because I was just painting. I needed to produce, and sometimes to set up the camera and do all this stuff takes time. So yeah, so I don't have time for that. But I might do another one for the time lapse. Okay, so that's a good suggestion. Been thinking a lot about modern lighting in figure painting. Okay, so you're talking maybe about. I have a question here about tenebrism, pretty much, versus the light of today. That we have lighting everywhere. We have a lot of light objects bouncing and projecting light on a subject. But if you want to do something that reproduces the effect of chiaroscuro, like Caravaggio did, make sure that you know why you're doing that. Why you want to do that? Because is that relevant to you? The moment you do that, it's not gonna feel that it belongs in today's world, because we're just not have that lighting condition anymore. But if you do that for a certain purpose, that you want it to look like a Caravaggio, or you want it to look like a Tenebris arena, because you want to produce this sense of mystery, of the unknown, of these shadows getting lost with the background, and you want to create that, just set it up. Think that you are in a theater or a play or something. Set up the lighting. Look at a painting that you like by Caravaggio, and set it up like a theater, and see if you can reproduce that feeling, and do studies of it and copy it. Um, that's what I suggest. Favorite living artist. I have favorite paintings, but so many that it will be hard to describe. Um, some general questions, misconceptions about I see artists making well, I like that the misconceptions come from preconceptions. When we think of things and we name them, we detach from them. If you are painting a portrait and you say that's an eye, right? You identify the eye, and then you call it an eye. You're not really capable of treating that eye with the power that it requires to be able to represent it. And I mean, the moment you think of the idea of an eye, you think of an oval shape with the circle dark in the middle, and is isolated by these two white spaces, so that you know where the point is aiming at. And you know so many things about the eye that it blocks you from really looking at it and painting the eye. So I suggest, instead of having these preconceptions, which leads to misconceptions, I think it's better if you make believe that that's a flat image in front of you, made in lights and darks, and you have to reproduce it with the tools that you have. So if you see a sharp angle, just make sure it's sharp. And if you see a soft, just see it in terms of just transitions of color and value and shapes. And you'll be able to get things like that, whether you're painting a mountain or a flower, anything. Don't have these preconceptions. Try to take away from them. Let's say I have a little game about preconceptions for you guys to do with your fellow friends. Anybody that tells you that they're a visual artist, or they can, they have the visual skills, you might say, ask them, get them in front of something simple, let's say a table or something, and ask them, can you describe this table visually? And then they will tell you probably, stuff like, I don't know, maybe you can answer for yourself. Let's say, get a table and describe it, right? You probably say flat surface on top, or four legs, equal height, or sharp corners, right? All this stuff you could have said with your eyes closed. A blind person could have described the table like that by touching it. So you're actually describing the tactile values, sensations of things. And that comes from the preconceptions that we have about the world, because when we are kids, we want to touch everything for our brain to know what it is, and then not deal with it visually ever again. Because every time you see a table, it would change perspective. So sometimes if you're on top, you won't see any legs. You're like, what happened to the legs of the table? If you're under the table, you don't see the top, right? So to describe a table visually, maybe you say none of the legs are the same size, and those are vertical lines. And then you say the surface has no value that is the same. It transitions from a glare that is catching into a dark wood tone at the end. So think of the visual world as elements that you won't be able to describe in a tactile manner, and that would help you to paint in a better way, definitely. How do I practice color harmony? uh, Color is very intuitive. Okay, you can practice and maybe copy some Renaissance masters. They had a very developed sense of beauty in terms of color combination, and that's an exercise to do. But color is very personal. For instance, I'm Cuban, and for even if I studied European art, and you know, and it's the winter, it doesn't matter. I'm Cuban, I have my tropical sense of color, and I will, if I'm sensitive enough, it will come out um, from the inside. So I think color reflects the culture and reflects the personal taste. So I believe that you shouldn't consider color as something outside, more of an internal kind of response. Okay, what do I think about performance art? Interesting. What do I think about performance art? And if is there any connection between my work and performance? That's interesting because I studied theater 4 years while I was in college. At the same time, I was studying visual arts in a contemporary school, New World. I studied theater too, and I'm we are always performing. Okay, either you're performing in a boring way, or you're performing in a very exciting and motivating way, but you're always performing, right? Because the decisions you make take you to an action, and that action is what is performance. But the term performance art in terms of art, I mean, people that go into a museum and start screaming or something like that, I I mean that's a form of expression. I have nothing with for that. But I believe if it's captivating, the audience will stop and look and really engage with you. Maybe I am a performance artist in the sense that I'm bringing back these traditional principles of classical painting and offering it to my generation, my the people that I surround myself with. And in the sense, I'm performing because I'm taking it publicly and I'm putting it out there for you guys to get inspired by, and for you guys to maybe try to use it and go that way too, because I believe that beauty is needed regardless of the culture that you are and or the time. And we have been through all this kind of dark age in art that it doesn't evolve. I mean, the schools nowadays are teaching the same principles that they were teaching 100 years ago. And, about with all this movement of expressing yourself and not listening to anybody and all this stuff, right? And so in a way, I'm doing a performance by going against that, the status quo in the arts, and offering a fresh air with a fun part. Because if I approach classical realism, or even that is weird. Like, what is classical? Like, why are we talking about ancient Greek, or I mean, are we talking about 19th century? What is it that we call classical, right? So when you say classical realist, that's also a question that most people just take for granted as a sentence, and say anything realistic or anything that resembles art before the modern era is classical. But yeah, there are many layers within that, and I believe I'm kind of performing in a way. So I like that. I didn't see myself as a performance artist, but maybe I have to take another look at myself. Hi guys, a lot of greetings here. Let me see. Big question. What is this? And sorry if I take a second to, maybe longer than I should require, or it should require for me to read this. But I'm dyslexic and I take a while to be able to put words together. Sometimes they just letters get in front of the other and I make a mess. So that's probably a hint of why it takes so long sometimes about to read, and I probably don't even read exactly what I'm looking at. But well, the idea here is, how do I like being a full-time artist? I love it because I created it. It's my fault. I'm responsible for it, and I didn't decide one day to become a full-time artist. I didn't have to quit anything, and I'm fortunate enough to be, from an early age, to be focused in painting. So by the time I came here without knowing how that I got here, pretty much went to school, studied, follow it, kept going. And when the time came that I had strong work, I finished school. I said, okay, what do I do with work? I create a series of paintings that relate to each other. So when people see it, they know that I'm discovering something, I'm after something. And I got that and took it to the galleries and say, listen, I have this work, what do you want? So from that is what made me become a full-time artist, and I'm happy because I kind of created it for myself. And if it's your dream, just make sure that you take your time. Okay, don't see me now showing this video and say, okay, I want to be like that tomorrow, because it's not going to happen. But the beauty of it is that you don't want it to be like that, because in order to enjoy it, in order to really appreciate what you have to build it slowly, right? I mean, a tree cannot just appear there. It has to grow and it has to move, and the sun has to hit it and someone has to step on it, and then it keeps going up until it becomes like a beautiful big ass tree, then covering the space for itself and taking all the sun by. So yeah, let me see, what is it here? How is the Angel Academy of you are well, yes, I am extremely happy I went to the Angel Academy. I had the opportunity to to check out a couple of schools when I was about to go abroad and study. And I liked the Angel Academy because I liked the paintings that Michael John Angel was doing. I saw his portraits and I said, these portraits have something that I haven't seen around, and it had that feeling of antiquity. They felt a little bit of that magic that I saw with the art of the masters of the past. And I said, I'm gonna go into here and see what he's up to. And one of the things that I can recommend for artists out there, young artists, is that even though now we have so much information, we always have to respect the people that have done it and are better than us. And one of the things I witness a lot is the complaining from students at whatever academy about the teachers. They're trying to keep me here. They're not teaching me enough. They're desperate. They want to become masters suddenly. And I believe that school taught me how to be humble, how to say, wow, these people are really doing something that I have no idea, and I'm gonna just follow whatever they say and do it mechanically almost. And if something they tell me to something goes darker, I'm not gonna argue. I'm just gonna put it darker because I'm there. They're not in my studio. I came to their studio, so that's the rules and that's what they offer. I love the Angel Academy. I don't know how it is today. I cannot say that it's the same as it was, and I cannot say that it's different because I haven't studied there. I graduated in 2006, April of that year. But yeah, I loved it. But again, don't see this comment and say, okay, that the Angel Academy is the one I'm gonna go, because you have to understand that every artist has to be the school first. You are the school, and the school is the tool, right? So no school is gonna make you an artist, because to be an artist is not only to manage and control the technique aspect. In fact, that's probably the least important part. And I say that because there are many technicians out there that cannot make it. So in order to be technical, yes, you have to study technique and master it. But in order to be an artist, you have to take the technique to another level, to the level that people will see it and connect emotionally, psychologically to it. And that cannot be taught by a school. It's by your own efforts. Okay, so you cannot be lazy about that either. The same way you put a lot of effort into practicing technique, you have to put a lot of effort into developing a voice, and study other artists that made it, not to copy them, but to see their attitude, how they are maybe fixed with a problem, with an idea that they want to solve or present. And it has to become that. Okay, and if you want to be successful as an artist, then that's another step. So technique, artist, success. So success is another thing that has to be studied separately too, because you could be a great artist and not be successful, or be successful and not be a great artist. By success, I mean in terms of making a living and making money of it, right? Because you can be successful by your own terms, and that's valuable too. All right, should I go up here? Because I feel that I skipped all of these questions, but of course, soon I'm gonna have to quit. I'm gonna get maybe two more questions before I stop this break. And oh, by the way, like this is wet. I haven't washed my brushes, so I was painting, and I said I need to take my mind off this and chat a little bit with you. So I have to go back to painting soon. Let me see. How to grow in portrait painting? Paint a lot of portraits, a lot. Don't stop. Look at people. Fall in love with the idea of the head structure. How do people express themselves? What does the face do and react to? So I mean, just study whatever you like to do. Just go for it, all in. Man, I wish I had this more in order. um, no bad words, guys. Behave. Hmm. Let me see. Sorry guys about this space. I'm what music do I listen to when I'm painting? Well, to do my videos, sometimes that I put a little clip and I put some music. I kind of not all the time I'm listening to music. I put some music for the video so it's more fun and it, it goes together with the feeling I wanna project with the painting. Sometimes I decide on the music depending on the mood that I wanna be in. Let's say if I'm starting a painting, I put some music maybe that is more exciting, some Latin music, so that way I'm like kind of having fun with it. If I'm finishing a painting, then I put something that is more calm and it gives me that atmosphere to focus. But most of the time I don't listen to music when I'm painting. Most of the time I listen to podcasts, books, and that way my brain is working thinking about ideas that other interesting people have, and I think about that while I'm painting. So at the same time I'm like kind of reading a book while I'm creating something, and that way I'm not losing any time in between. Okay, one more question. I hope you guys are also looking at these questions, because that way I don't have to go over them. Let me ask you, Vale, do people see my questions? Tutti lo vedono? Anche quando lo spengo e viene un po' grande così? Okay. All right, guys. So you know the question there. I'm just gonna read it and answer it. Okay. So one little thing is that you have to be successful from the beginning. Okay. If in your mind you are not successful, if in your mind you are a loser, you have to change that immediately, because it's up to you. Okay, in my case I felt the same as I felt when I was in school. I haven't, maybe I like questions like this because they're like, oh, you're successful, and I'm glad that I project that, but I will project that when I was in middle school. Okay, and you have to be a success all the time, success in whatever you're doing, and I mean doing work that you're proud of, being honest with yourself, um, and just just do the work, be humble, just be, have the drive to encounter life and its difficulties. Don't worry about other people, don't worry about how other people look successful or if they have stuff. If you really want something, work for it, and in that transition you're gonna find success, you're gonna be successful, because that's what it means. Just be surrounded with people that you love, enjoy what you do, get into it, discover it, talk about it when you meet people. Don't fall into what other people are telling you to talk about. Like if you don't enjoy a certain conversation, don't get into it. And if you like something, just do it. Be a success yourself, okay? And that way, and be realistic too about the time that it takes to achieve something. But that something is always gonna keep moving. Okay, so for instance, for me, maybe when I was in college, my idea of having success will be to learn how to paint with the qualities of the masters. And I was studying contemporary art, a lot of conceptual stuff, and for me that was my ideal. But by the time I got there, so I got to Italy and then all the struggles, and by the time I had it, it was something else. It was, now what do I do with this? And it just keeps going. So I believe that you have to change your mind, state of mind, and make sure that you are successful first before you call yourself, or you want people to call you successful. Okay, and that's it. I cannot take more questions, but I will be happy to talk about all this stuff another time. And I really enjoy this, guys, so take care. Need to go. Bye bye.